Oh, wow, sorry. Yeah, up and running. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay, folks, so good afternoon. So, Chris from Adaptation. Right, so tomorrow is January 13th, 2025, and the PoA paper 2 for the Jan exams well, you'll be sitting that exam. I was supposed to put out the May and Jan 2024 solutions last year. That did not happen. So this is my attempt. I was actually supposed to be here since 10 o'clock this morning. So I am about 7 hours late, and I do not know how much time I actually have or whether I'll be able to get through all the solutions. So in respect of that, let me stop bumping my gums and let me start getting the solutions, right? So I opted to do lives this time just to make it quick and not have to go through the trouble of editing things. Maybe at a later date, I might pull down these lives and put up the nicely edited version with the jump cuts and the songs and that kind of stuff. All right. Until then, I'm hoping that this will be helpful to anybody sitting the exam on Jan 13th, 2025. So this is question 1 from the Jan 2024 PoA paper 2. So Eastern Lyle is a trader. The trial balance prepared on 31st Jan 2023 failed to agree. The difference was entered in a suspense account. The following errors were later discovered. Okay, hold on just now. Almost forgot to check something here real quick. Okay, no thanks. Right. Yeah, just 1 sec, guys. Oh, thanks for the love on Instagram. I mean TikTok. Wow. Talk about the wrong name, boy. Pressuring the dance. Visibility. Why is it unlisted? Oh, I want it public. Right, okay, cool. I don't know why I went back to unlisted. So that was the problem. That's why I restarted the live in the first place. Anyhow, you know what? I'm not going to restart again because it took me too long to start. So let's just go. Right, so the difference was entered in a suspense account. Okay, there you go. It's just popped up on my feed there too. Right, the following errors were later discovered. So Eastern Land as a trader, trial balance prepared on 31 December 2023 failed to agree. The difference was entered in a suspense account. Right, so we have 5 errors here. Basically, what they want you to do is to use the general journal to correct those errors. Right, now again, in the interest of time, I'm going to be a bit faster today. I'm going to try to explain as best I can in the limited time that I do have. So to that end, I'm going to pull up the solution format I have here, and we're going to go through, we're going to put up the solutions as we talk through it, okay? All right. Okay, so payment of $76 cash for utilities used for the year was entered in the cash book, but not in the utilities expense account. Okay, so when you pay utilities, you're supposed to debit utilities and credit cash book. So it said it was entered in the cash book, but not in the utilities account. So there's a debit missing to utilities. So when there's a missing debit, you have to put it in. So you're going to debit utilities. Now, this was a one-sided error because in the double entry, the credit entry was put in, the debit entry was not. And as the question said on the top here, right, the trial balance did not, it failed to agree, it didn't balance, and the difference was entered in a suspense account. So the suspense account is going to be used to facilitate the double entry here. Right, so credit suspense account. Right, now when you're entering stuff in the general journal, your debit entries come first, your credit entries come second. Okay, now anybody who's watching, or well, either live or afterwards, what I would advise you to do, if it is that you are very, let's say you need help with errors, go to YouTube, go to my errors playlist. It's quite comprehensive. There are several videos there where I walk you through errors from scratch. And a lot of people have said that it's helped them greatly. Okay, so I suggest that strongly. Okay, next, the purchases journal was overcast by $454. The purchases journal is where we record all credit purchases of inventory. And that total is then transferred to the debit of the purchases account in the general ledger at the end of the period. So if it was overcast, what does that mean? It means the balance was too high, maybe due to some mathematical error, or maybe they wrote a figure in incorrectly. Whatever the case was, it was overstated or overcast. That means that the balance in the purchases account is going to be too high. Purchases is an expense. If an expense is too high, we have to decrease it. To decrease an expense, you have to credit the expense, right? And again, because it was a one-sided error, a calculation error that affected one account, the suspense account will have to be used to facilitate the double entry. So we need to credit purchases to bring it down, but we also need a debit because every debit needs a corresponding credit and vice versa. Okay? Right. Now, this item 3 was a tricky one. The total for discounts allowed was not included in the trial balance. As it stands here, there's no entry required to fix this in the general journal. It says that the total for discounts allowed was not included in the trial balance. They didn't say it was not included or omitted from the discounts allowed account. That is different. That is not what is said here. And you could try to imply it all you want. That's not, I don't think I could prove it. All right. I was told by a friend who had someone on their staff in their school who corrected JAN exams that they said to debit or credit trial balance. You do not and cannot credit or debit a trial balance. It is not a T account. It is not part of your double entry system. It is part of your control system for double entry. Not the same thing, right? So I will say definitively there is no entry required for number 3. If you disagree, come in the comments and fight me respectfully, of course. Sensational. Anyhow, sorry. So what I would say is that if this was that the discounts allowed total was omitted from the discounts allowed account, right? Then you could debit discount allowed and credit suspense, right? If that was the case, that's not what they're saying here. So this entry, right? This is only if that's what they actually meant, that it was not put in the discount allowed account. Since they didn't say that, we're going to take it out and put that no entry was necessary to correct an omission from the trial balance. No general journal entry is necessary to correct a journal, to correct an omission from the trial balance. Item 4, 200 cash received from Marvelyn Adam. Sorry, I just keep on checking my time here. Right. A trade receivable was posted on the debit side of her account. If Marvelyn Adam is somebody who owes you money, which is what a trade receivable is, and they're paying you, you have to credit them. That's the double entry hack. Right? Credit where it's coming from and debit where it's going. What is it? It being the money. You credit where the money is coming from and you debit where it's going. So if it was posted on the debit side of her account, you have 2 things wrong here. 1, it's on the wrong side. 2, it's not on the right side, which is not the same thing, right? So to fix this, you actually have to credit her account twice. Once to eliminate the incorrect debit, and the second time to put in the credit that should have been put in the first place. All right. So we are going to credit Marvelyn for 400 and debit suspense for 400. Why 400? Because again, you had to credit her twice. Once to eliminate the incorrect debit and the second time to put in the correct credit. And we use suspense to counterbalance because no other account was affected by this error. All right. Drawings of 3,000 had been correctly entered in the cash book, but posted to the drawings account as 1,800. Okay, errors happen. So it was correctly entered in the cash book. So you credited the cash book for 3,000, but you debited drawings for 1,800. It was supposed to be debited for 3,000. There's a difference of 1,200. So that is what you're going to debit drawings for, 1,200. And of course, suspense is used to bring up the rear to facilitate the double entry, right? Okay, so the whole general journal looks like this, right? Again, number 3, based on what they had there, no entry was necessary, right? Now, what makes me think that they really meant to say that the discounts allowed balance was understated or undercast by 60 was the fact that there were 10 marks awarded for this. And if you go through, as in like 5 errors with 2 entries, 2 correcting entries each, it stands to reason they wanted you to make an entry for this. But they phrased it incorrectly. Okay? So we'll say no more about that. In the exam, if you're not sure what to do, decide a course of action, take it and move on with your life. Do not dwell. Do not allow yourself to mentally spiral downwards. It is not in your best interest for that to happen. Believe me. Okay? All right. And that's question 1. I find I've been doing rubbish in the papers. Little bits and pieces here and there. But anyhow. Before the errors were discovered, Easton Lyle calculated that he had made a profit of $17,800 for the year ended 31st December 2023. Now, of course, that profit is likely to be incorrect. Okay. Oh, wow. I thought I didn't have enough space on that side. Okay, cool. Let's do that then. Right. Complete the form provided below to show the effect of correcting each of these errors on the original profit for the year. If the error does not affect the calculated profit figure, write no effect in the space provided. An example has been provided for you. Okay. This convoluted mess of a table, I don't know why they put this. they could have simply asked you to correct the net profit. But of course, they want to see if you really know your stuff by giving you, like I said, a convoluted format to use. All right. So what they said here, so profit before corrections is 17.8. Effect on profit. So let's actually split the screen. And what we're going to do, we had to go up, right? We had to go up to the errors, right? So the payment of 76 cash for utilities used for the year was entered in the cash book, but not in the utilities expense account. Okay, if you did not enter the 76 in utilities expense, it means your utilities expense was too low. And in the calculation of profit, if your expenses are too low, your profit will be too high. Because if you don't subtract enough expenses, you're going to have too much profit, right? An incorrectly inflated profit, all right? So let's see what they did here, right? So you see they put the decrease amount, $76 there. Okay, cool. So the purchases journal being overcast by 454. So if the purchases journal was overcast, it means the purchases account, which is an expense, will also be overcast. If your expense is too high, you're going to subtract too much in the calculation of profit, and therefore your profit will be too low. Okay, so let's see how that looks here. Oh, sorry, I was supposed to kind of zoom in so we could see things a bit more clearly here. All right, so I basically recreated their convoluted format. All right, 17.8, effect on profit, error number, no effect, increase amount, decrease amount. Right, so for this one, when you correct the purchases figure, you're going to bring down your expense. Why? Because it was overstated, right? Or overcast. So when you fix it, it's going to come down. When your expenses come down, your profit will go up. So you're going to see the increase amount there. Okay, let's go back to the other thing. So the total for discounts allowed was not included. Okay, so again, in this case, what I'm going to say is that what they probably meant here was for it to that the discounts were not included, all right? So when you included discounts, the expense is gonna go up, right? Discounts allowed, that is, right? So $60 there, all right? So 60 here under the decrease, again, because discounts allowed is an expense, right? So this is kind of in contrast to my treatment of it in the general journal above, but again, I did show that you could do a debit to discount and credit to suspense, yeah? But again, that would not be correct given the wording of the question. But again, let's not get bogged down because of their rubbish, right? 200 cash received from Mavelyn Adam, right, was posted. Okay, so that has no effect on profit calculation, right? So we're just going to put no effect there. And the last item was the drawings, right? Drawings also has no effect on profit because it's not an expense. Okay, so the totals. So the totals here now. Right, so you add a 454, 136. So the difference, so 454 minus 136 is 318, and you're going to add 318 to 17,800 to get $18,118, right? Okay, so that's question 1A, part 2. Let's take a look at the rest of the question. I think there's just one more part to part 1, right? What I am going to do, ladies and gents, is I'm going to restart a live for each new question. At least on YouTube, right? I might keep it running on, TikTok. I also might end up doing lives on Instagram too. I was trying to organize it with my Streamlabs there, but it said something about the YouTube details not updated. So I wasn't too happy about that. So I cut that and then discontinued the Instagram live, but I'll try it again. Okay, so Easton Lyle is considering using a control account for his sales ledger. Okay, can't go wrong. Complete the table below by indicating the book of original entry and the effect of each item on the sales ledger control account. An example has been provided. Okay, so I think I recreated this as well. Okay, of course we are gonna zoom in so we can see things way more clearly. Oh, did I not delete the items? Okay, cool. Right, there you go. Okay, so just to show you, so Badet written off, the book of original entry would be the general journal, and the effect on the sales ledger control account would be to decrease the balance. So you'll credit the sales ledger control account. Okay, fine. So then you have cash discount allowed and set off for contra entry. Okay, cool. So cash discount allowed would also decrease it. So the book of original entry would be the cash book, and the effect would be credit as well. The set off or contra entry, again, as general journal, and it'll also be on the credit side there. All right. So that's that. And then the last thing they have here, state one reason why it is possible to have a credit balance brought down on a receivable account. So I gave you 3. Maybe the customer overpaid, right? So if, for example, their debit balance was 100 and they paid 110, right? When you net it off, they'll still have $10 on the credit side. An error or invoice sent by the seller. So if you made an error, so let's say you were supposed to give them a discount. Let's say the invoice was 120 and you were supposed to knock off the 20 as part of the discount, and you didn't, what would happen, is you'd bill them for 120, but in your books, you might expect 100. Although the same invoice should be used to populate both places. So we had to double check that one. And an error in the bookkeeping or, again, maybe you made an error. Any CAPE Unit 1 lessons? Yeah, we have CAPE Unit 1, we have online and we have in person. So you could always DM me for more details. Anyhow, right, so ladies and gents, that is the solution to the PoA Jan 2025 paper 2 question 1, right? If you want to see the other solutions, you can check for the link in the description below when I populated there. Sorry, I'm trying to do an outro for a live that I normally do for my pre-recorded videos, so that's not gonna work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna cut the lives and then I'm gonna just reset stuff and restart with question 2, because I wanna relabel the lives and that kind of stuff to deliver it properly, right? Okay guys, so check me back in about 2 minutes, right? I'll see you soon. Bye.